Hello and welcome. You're watching the news. I'm Gargi Rawat. Terrible news coming in from Jammu and Kashmir, where a colonel, a major and a police officer have been killed in an encounter. Also, the Prime Minister is at the BJP headquarters in Delhi for an election meeting. He received a big welcome to celebrate the G20 success. Let's take a look at the headlines at this hour. A commanding officer of the Rashtriya Rifles unit, a major of the army and a deputy superintendent of Jammu and Kashmir police were killed in action during an encounter with terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag district today. A grand welcome for the Prime Minister at the BJP headquarters to celebrate the success of the recent G20 summit as the BJP holds the Central Election Committee meet for the upcoming state elections. The United Opposition Alliance India decides to hold its first joint public meeting in Bhopal early October. This decision taken at the first coordination meeting that took place today. Leaders of 28 opposition parties to jointly hold a public meeting in Bhopal against the BJP. Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia says unruly passengers on flights are a wild card, but it's important to set an example when passengers misbehave. Car sales to hit 1 million this festive season. Many experts believe it will be the best festive season. August saw the highest ever sales of passenger vehicles and three-wheelers. An investigation has been launched against the Seattle police after an officer was recorded on his body cam joking about an Indian origin woman who was killed by a police patrol vehicle in January. And Russia's President Vladimir Putin expresses admiration for India's Make in India initiative, suggests that Russia can draw inspiration from the success stories. Our top story, a commanding officer, a major of the army and a deputy superintendent of Jammu and Kashmir police were killed in an encounter today in Anantnag district. The body of the fallen deputy SP has been retrieved amid heavy firing by terrorists in the dense forest of the Kokarnag area. Now, what we do know is that a joint operation was launched by the army and police late last night after they received specific information about the presence of terrorists. The troops led by the commanding officer and deputy superintendent of Jammu and Kashmir police came under heavy firing and the 3 officers were critically injured. Let's go across now to Nazir for more on this story. And Nazir, the 3 officers critically injured, and then it took time to retrieve them from there.
Well, it was not clearly an easy operation in the forest area where army and the police received specific information according to army late last night about presence of militants, and they launched the joint operation. But what happened, they came under heavy firing and the 3 officers, Army's commanding officer, Colonel Manpreet Singh, Major Aashish, and DSP of Jammu and Kashmir Police, Himanyun, Muzamil, Bhat, they were critically injured. That was the initial report. In fact, one of our sources said, Himanyun Muzamil Bhat, he called one of his senior officers in Jammu and Kashmir Police, told him about his injury, but they are not able to come out, of that because heavy firing was going on. So for whole day, there was every effort made to, evacuate the injured. Everybody was hoping against the hope that they will be still alive. But by this evening, it was clear that after the body of Himanyun Muzamil Bhat was retrieved, so it was clear that the other 2 have also been killed in the action. So it is a huge loss. After a long time, last time I remember one army colonel was killed in Handwara several years back, and there were other officials who were killed, including a police officer. But the way, it has happened and the situation, that is really alarming. But the way it has happened, there has been a pattern and how there's a changing complexion of militancy. When the security force and the police have been actually saying that they have wiped out militancy to a great extent, and most parts of Jammu and Kashmir have been made free from militancy. We see series of such attacks. Not only this, but we have seen in the areas which were free from militancy, like Rajouri and Poonch. It actually started attacks like this in Rajouri and Poonch in April and May. In two separate attacks in Rajouri and Poonch in April and May, 10 soldiers, including 5 special force officials, were killed. So today, it for whole day in Anantnag, in Kukarnag.
What is the situation right now? If you could tell us the situation right now, 2 terrorists have also been killed, but also such senior officers, leading from the front and killed in this encounter.
Well, killing of 2 militants is a separate encounter. It is not in this encounter. Remember, there were 2 separate encounters or the operations which were going on. One was in Rajouri, which started last evening, in which 1 army soldier was killed. There was also a report 1 SPO has been killed. 2 other soldiers were injured. 1 army's assault dog was also killed in the militant firing. And this morning, police said 2 militants have been killed in that encounter as well. And that operation is still going on. Even as that operation was underway, there was news about this Kukarnag, Anantnag encounter, in which these 3 officers, they were injured. So for whole day, there was top army officers, including the Corps Commander, Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police, ADGP Police. They were all at the spot, supervising the operation, trying to supervising the evacuation or the body whole day. Military helicopters were pressed into service for the evacuation of the and surveillance as well. But it clearly shows how the challenge ahead is. The militancy is not gone. It may be down in some areas, but it is still there. And clearly they have changed their tactics and changed their approach from going to the urban, operating from the urban areas. They are going to jungle areas. And it has a clear pattern. It is not the local element which is doing it. Even today itself, Army's Northern Commander-Chief, he said Pakistan is sending militants through Nepal and Punjab, and then they are carrying out activities in Jammu and Kashmir. But it is a huge challenge, a huge loss and a tragic, deaths and of army officers and the police officer in action in this encounter, which is still going on.
That encounter is still underway, but 3 senior officers are killed. Thanks so much, Nazir, for joining us with those details. All right, let's shift our focus to the big political news of the day, and it was a day of political meetings. The BJP Central Election Committee is holding a meeting on the upcoming state elections. The Prime Minister too arrived at the BJP headquarters for that meeting a short while ago, where there was a rousing welcome for him, as the success of the recent G20 summit was also celebrated at the BJP headquarters. The other key meeting today in Delhi was of the opposition India Alliance. The first meeting of the 14-member coordination committee for the alliance took place today at Sharad Pawar's residence to begin the discussions on seat sharing for the 2024 elections. Well, let's go across to Sunil Prabhu now for more on the opposition India meeting. And Sunil, they have decided to hold their first joint public meeting in Bhopal early October.
That's right, to raise issues of unemployment, rising prices amongst a host of other issues. So they want to show a united face. Having said that, they've also agreed on going ahead with the decision that, you must have a caste census. This despite the objections of the Trinamool Congress in the last Mumbai meeting. And it's in that backdrop that even though the Trinamool Congress was absent today, I asked a specific question to Mr. K.C. Venugopal, who said, this is a decision of the coordination committee. We will definitely explain to the TMC about the decision that has been taken and take them along. Having said that, the other, of course, is a host of other issues in terms of seat sharing, the nitty-gritties, which is going to be a huge issue in terms and really a question of survival for the India bloc, whether they can have a broad-based seat sharing agreement across the country. In some states, it's impossible, like for example in Kerala. In West Bengal, the CPM is definitely not going to ally with Mamata Banerjee. And it's in the same backdrop whether they will be able to foster some kind of seat sharing in, say, Delhi or Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, and the list carries on. So it's definitely something that we will have to wait and watch. And of course, they're also talking about a boycott. A subcommittee on media will decide on how they will boycott certain channels and certain anchors, which is really not a good sign in the current present situation, because if somebody's done one wrong, you can't, 2 wrongs don't make 1 right.
All right, Sunil, thanks so much for joining us with that. So a meeting of the Coordination Committee of the India Opposition Alliance. Let's go across to Vasudha now, who joins us from the BJP headquarters. And Vasudha, there, the meeting of the BJP election committee, the Prime Minister arriving there a short while ago, and the BJP, turning the Prime Minister's arrival at the headquarters into a big celebration and felicitation for the recent G20 success.
Yes, Gargi. So the environment, the mood at BJP office today was of celebration. It was almost very festive, because every person that I spoke with talked about, how the G20 presidency has really propelled India to become like this very important player in international politics. So this is some intertwining of domestic politics and, of course, diplomacy that sort of was reflected today. And many of them who did not understand a lot of things about the criticalities of the policy that was, discussed in G20 also talked about how accessible it was in terms of, this whole Bharat Mandapam or the Yoga Sutras or the Nataraja statue, or the fact that, G20 meeting was also held in one of their hometowns or near that, because remember the G20 meeting presidency, under India's presidency of G20, meetings were held across the country in 60 towns. So that was something people talked about. After that, of course, the main operative part of today's meeting has begun. The Prime Minister has come, and all the members of the CEC, 14 members are here, and they're going to discuss the most important aspect of elections that are coming up, poll-bound states. So those meetings, those discussions are going to take place, and at the center of the deliberations is going to be Madhya Pradesh, is what we've been told, because Madhya Pradesh is a very critical state for the BJP. And remember, in 2018 it was a close finish, and the Congress actually managed to form the government. So BJP does not want to make any mistakes like that. So it's also learning from its mistakes made in Karnataka. And on August 16th, we saw the first list come out, and towards the night or maybe tomorrow, we are expecting the second list of Madhya Pradesh to come out.
All right. Thanks so much, Vasudha, for joining us. With that, we can see some visuals from inside the BJP headquarters as all leaders are sitting for that meeting, and the Prime Minister, before the start of that election committee meeting, the Prime Minister felicitated by BJP President JP Nadda. In other news now, the Andhra Pradesh High Court today ruled out police custody of former Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Chandrababu Naidu. This even as protests against his arrest continue in different parts of the state. Also, several top leaders of the India Alliance have hit out over his arrest, and the Akali Dal even condemning vendetta politics.
Even as protests continue on the ground in Andhra Pradesh, political leaders from across the country have spoken up against the arrest of Telugu Desam leader Chandrababu Naidu. West Bengal Chief Minister and TMC leader was the first to speak up, saying she does not like the arrest and nothing should be done vindictively.
जैसे चंद्रबाबू नायडू को अरेस्ट किया, मैं पसंद नहीं किया, मेरे को पसंद नहीं हुआ ऐसे के लिए। अगर कोई गलती है तो आप बात करो, इंस्पेक्शन करो, इन्वेस्टिगेशन करो, तो आपका हक में है, लेकिन vindictively किसको सब कुछ नहीं करना चाहिए।
Former UP Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav said the trend of arresting opposition leaders has now gone from the centre to the states. Put in jail those who are not with you. This is the policy of autocratic leaders and has no place in democracy. The BJP and their opportunistic friends should remember that such deviation in political behavior may prove costly for them tomorrow, he tweeted. National Conference leader Farooq Abdullah, who has worked closely with Chandrababu Naidu, called this a very wrong step.
आपने देखा होगा अभी चंद्रबाबू नायडू जी को इन्होंने गिरफ्तार किया है आंध्रा में। मैं समझता हूँ ये एक बहुत बड़ा गलत कदम उठाया उन्होंने। एक लीडर जो अपनी जमात को मुनज़्ज़म करने की कोशिश कर रहा है इलेक्शन से पहले, ये समझते हैं उसको बंद करने से वो उसको कमज़ोर करेंगे, बल्कि मैं उनसे कहना चाहता हूँ बंद करने से वो और भी इसका फ़ायदा उनको मिलेगा, उनकी जमात को मिलेगा।
Former NDA ally Shiromani Akali Dal Chief Sukhbir Singh Badal called the arrest crude vendetta politics, not conducive to democracy and should be opposed by all. YSRCP leaders have clearly indicated that they would like to keep Chandrababu Naidu busy fighting legal battles. But politics is also about public perception, and Chandrababu Naidu would hope that the support from leaders across the country would add to his political momentum just a few months before elections. With camera person Nagraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
Good news for the auto industry that could be looking at its best season yet. There were record sales of passenger cars and three-wheelers in August. Experts feel it could be the best festive season for the industry.
With the festive season set to begin, car makers and dealers are optimistic about sale trends. In fact, some experts say this could be the best festive season ever and sales could hit the 1 million mark.
With Onam in Kerala, and we are expecting that probably we'll end up with somewhere around 10% growth. So this is a very good sign. The second is that the fresh demand is extremely good. Like in Exeter, we have been receiving such a great response. We have got almost 70,000 bookings.
However, some industry experts expect two-wheeler and tractor sales will overall see only a marginal growth due to affordability and rising costs in rural India. Commenting on sales data for the month of August, Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers President said last month saw the highest ever August month sales for passenger vehicles and three-wheelers, while two-wheeler sales remained at levels similar to a year ago, reflecting the pace at which the auto sector in the country has been growing in the post-COVID era. Sakshi Bajaj for NDTV.
Now, an exclusive interview with Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia. NDTV's Vishnu Shom spoke to him about a host of issues as well as the issue of unruly passengers and how they are best dealt with.
I know it's a huge issue for you, perhaps top of your mind. There is this issue of boorish passengers, and it's not unique to India. It happens all over the world. Correct. That said, we have to set a very firm signal. Do you believe that the system in putting people on a no-fly list is strong enough? Are you constantly revising that? What have been some of your conversations with airlines in this regard?
So as far as unruly passengers are concerned, that's a wild card, if you will, if I may use that term. Because no one knows how you or I are going to behave when we board a flight. But having said that, I think it's important to, as you said, to set examples and to set precedents. And we have been extremely strong on coming down on any unruly passenger on any of our airlines, whether it is through following the legal process, whether it is putting that person on a no-fly list for an extended period of time, and so on and so forth. Whatever processes we have at our command, we use those completely to make sure that when you fly, you're not only responsible for yourself, you're responsible for everyone else on that flight. And then you need to board that plane with that sense of responsibility.
The BMC, the richest municipal corporation in the country in Mumbai, released a draft policy saying private parties will be allowed to adopt open spaces like parks and playgrounds. But this has been opposed by activists who have opposed this idea, asking why such a rich corporation can't handle open spaces on its own, and then who will keep checks and balances if private players get involved.
India's richest municipal corporation, the BMC, with a 52,000 crore plus budget for 2023, wants private players to adopt open spaces like parks and playgrounds across Mumbai. A draft policy released by the corporation wants suggestions from the public by October 10. But many Mumbai activists are protesting the move, asking why India's richest municipal body needs private intervention and who will ensure checks and balances to stop public spaces from being wrongly utilized in a city where land prices are already at a premium.
अभी हम लोग जहाँ खड़े हैं ये पाली हिल पे पाली माला विलेज का गार्डन है, ये बीएमसी का गार्डन है. इतना अच्छा जगह बीएमसी मेंटेन कर रहा है, उसका खुद का जगह है. तो ये जगह व्हाई डू दे वांट टू गिव टू सम प्राइवेट पर्सन?
हमारी सरकार से और महानगर पालिका आयुक्त से यही मांग है कि इस तरह के कुछ मैदान एडॉप्ट देने की आपकी मंशा क्या है. महानगर पालिका इतनी सक्षम है, क्यों नहीं महानगर पालिका खुद इस प्लॉट को संभालने का प्रयास करेगी.
The BMC says it has over 1,000 parks and playgrounds under its jurisdiction, covering over 562 hectares of land, and that private participation will help maintain parks in a much better manner. In January 2016, the BMC had cleared a proposal allowing private parties to maintain public parks or grounds for a maximum of 30 years. However, later that year, the proposal was stayed by the then Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis. With Pooja Bharadwaj in Mumbai, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Now, a shocking incident in Naigaon of Palghar, which is adjacent to Mumbai. A man there killed his girlfriend and then, in a strange twist, accompanied by his wife, he took her body to Vapi in Gujarat to dispose it. After about a month of investigation, the murder has been revealed and now the police have arrested both the husband and wife.
Out for a holiday, or so it seemed to people who saw this family of three getting in this lift with a suitcase on the 9th of August. But they had casually walked out of a flat in Naigaon near Mumbai after stuffing the body of the resident in her own suitcase. According to the Naigaon police, the dead woman, 28-year-old makeup artist Naina Mahat and 43-year-old costume designer Manohar Shukla, both employed in Bollywood, were in a relationship. Manohar was married, had 2 children, and Naina wanted them to get married. On the 9th, they had a fight about this.
सुबह ही 10 बजे जो जब अंदर गया उसकी झटापटी हो गई वो कि तुम मुझे ऐसा करते हो, तुम मेरे साथ नहीं रहते, तुमने मेरे साथ शादी नहीं की, तो मैं अभी फिनेल पीऊंगी. फिर वो एसिड पीने की कोशिश की. तो ये बोला कि तुम मरना ही चाहती हो, इसीलिए वो बकेट में जो पानी था उसके सर को ऐसे बकेट में डुबो दिया. और 4-5 मिनट में उसका ये होने के बाद इसको घबरा गया कि अभी वो शायद बेशुद्ध है, उसको होश नहीं रहा होगा, इसीलिए वो बेड पे उसको सुला के काम पे चला गया.
According to the police, Manohar returned to the victim's apartment in the Suntech building at night with his wife and 1 child. They packed the body into a suitcase, rode to Valsad in Gujarat and threw it in a creek. Naina's sister filed a missing person report, but she could not be found for over a month. The disappearance was finally connected to an unidentified body found in Gujarat. Naina's body was unrecognizable, but her sister identified her by this tattoo.
टैटू, ये टैटू रहता है, जैसे मेरा भी यहाँ त्रिशूल बना है, उसका टिश्यू यहाँ पे त्रिशूल और वो और उसका जो गले में चेन बीन, वो वीडियो में भी है, फोटो में भी है हमारे पास, तो वो चेन बीन भी दिखा, तो और कपड़े और वो चद्दर, उसके वजह से हमको फोटो ही दिखाया, फ्रंट नहीं दिखाया, सौ नहीं दिखाया मुझे.
Naigaon police have charged Manohar with murder and both him and his wife with removing evidence. With Sunil Singh and Raja Mayal, with camera person Rajendra Dayalkar from Naigaon, NDTV Bureau Report.
Now, news from the US, where an investigation has been launched against Seattle police union leaders. This after an officer was recorded on his body camera laughing and joking about an Indian origin woman who was killed by a police patrol vehicle in January this year.
I think she went up on the hood, hit the windshield, then when he hit the brakes, flew off the car. But she is dead. No, it's a regular person. Yeah, just write a check. Yeah, $11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value.
Shocking body-worn camera footage from January. Seattle police officer Daniel Orderer laughing at the death of Indian student Jahanvi Kandula, who had just been killed after being rammed by his colleague Kevin Dave's car. According to report, Dave was driving his vehicle at 74 miles per hour when his vehicle struck and killed Jahanvi Kandula, who was just 23. Orderer was sent to evaluate whether Dave was impaired. An investigation has been launched into the horrifying events. The recording was released by the Seattle Police Department on Monday. The department said it would not comment on the matter until the Police Accountability Office concludes its investigation into the incident.
Joking about how much her life might be worth, even if he was mocking an attorney, is just really heartbreaking and shocking to hear.
A vigil was held for Jahanvi in the week of a collision. Initially, Orderer reported the officer was driving his car at 50 miles per hour and was not out of control. However, a police investigation found that the car was at 74 miles per hour when it hit Jahanvi. The cause of death was multiple blunt force injuries. Jahanvi, a native of the Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh, was a student at the Northeastern University campus in South Lake Union and was on track to receive a master's degree in information systems this December. That dream will sadly never become a reality. Bureau Report, NDTV.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has expressed admiration for India's Make in India initiative and suggested that Russia can draw inspiration from the success stories of its partners, such as India, to promote the growth of its own domestic industries. Highlighting the importance of using domestically produced products, Putin said that Russia could learn from partners like India.